Got my little granny blanket on my lap because it's cold. It's cold here in Portland today, people.
Ooh, I'm feeling creaky.
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 Yeah, well, yeah. Just, I don't even want to go there.
Yeah.
I'm 64, 63.
Yeah,
so.
you done cricked enough.
Anyway, let's welcome everybody here today. Hi. Welcome
to the show.
Welcome. We're really happy you're here with us today. And to another episode of Everything
and Nothing.
Everything and Nothing, which means we're going to talk about it all today, or at least a piece of everything and a piece of nothing.
At least 50 minutes of it.
Exactly.
Yep. See, I mean, you can't get everything into that. It's
Yeah.
hard to get nothing into that also.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll take another run with it. Portland's beautiful. We got our desk back. Feeling pretty good about that.
Yep. Got
Making
a new
minor
desk.
changes.
Yeah. Still, and our sound we think is getting better, and we're still working it all out.
We're learning.
Yeah.
We're learning the ways.
Yeah. And we've already spent a full day. So normally we come in and do this early, but we've already been moving furniture and blah, blah, blah. So our coffee is gone, long gone. And now I'm having a little tea and you're having some water. So
exactly.
Grab your beverage, have a seat, and join the conversation.
And let's talk about my topic.
Yeah. Dane's first. What do you want to do? Give it to me.
Yeah, my topic is super simple. I don't know if there's really anything to say about it. So hopefully we get it over real quick and just go to your turn. My topic is politics.
Oh my God. No, I don't want to talk about that.
I will say, so to start off, obviously this word can go a million different directions, can, have the possibility of blowing up an entire room full of people with their opinions getting divided.
Yes.
Politics has been a hot topic for a while.
Maybe
but
forever.
I will say, for such a hot topic, it has one of the boringest roots I've ever seen in, etymology, the history of words. It literally just means general commons people, from Greek and Latin back in the day. So nothing interesting there. Super simple word. Wasn't even really used much until the 80s. But now here we are, enthralled in it, captivated by it. Give us more. Who will be the next president nominee?
Not only that, it's like, let's blow people up and shit over it. It's not just, it's like it's become a very volatile arena. Yeah, and topic. I mean, it's separated families and, friendships and,
So, to the core, to the roots.
All right.
I give you a word, you give me feelings.
Oh, my God.
Politics, what does it mean to you? What do you feel?
Well, I mean, I would say the first layer that it brings up is just chaos. It brings up division, because I think that's the nature of politics, is you've got different opinions and different sides, and and unfortunately these days I feel like the other word that is strongly connected to politics is corruption. That's the other thing. And then for my own personal database, I would add at the very end disappointment and heartbreak. Because I feel like our politics and I don't know if it's really changed that much since the beginning of time. I mean, yes and no, because it's such if you follow back through history, it's always been upheaval. It's kind of goes to the core of humans trying to evolve and grow and bring order to chaos. We're trying to grow and evolve and create systems and organizations that can benefit us all. But unfortunately, you have a lot of different opinions and a lot of different woundings and a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different wants, and they don't all line up and resonate. So that's where the conflict comes in. And my understanding is politics were created so that we could have a system where we could vote for and have people come in and be the voice of the people and do what's best for the people. But I feel like that has just gotten more and more and more skewed. And instead, it feels like it's the voice of the minority, which is the 1% billionaires. That minority is who I feel like our political systems are set up for, period, the end. And, you know, and so
that's right.
Right. It's like, you know, it's become the voice for corporations. It's not for the people anymore.
Well, I will say
It's not for
politics,
us.
you know, the way that you grew up in it and the way that most of us were trained in this idea of democracy is kind of like the current iteration of politics in the Western society. Politics just means kind of the organizations of the people for the people that run the people. So, I mean, ultimately, like a monarchy is politics, you know, a
Right.
republic is politics, a warlord is politics, I guess. So, I mean, really,
form.
it's just a form of control that kind of oversees society. And ideally, you would have the most intelligent, most benevolent people in these positions, right? People that actually care to shepherd and take care of their fellow flock and then the
Yes.
people around them and their communities.
Yes.
But no, I mean, you hit it spot on. It's like people say power corrupts, and I'm not entirely sure that's true. I think there might be something to that. I think what's more true is that positions of power attract the corrupted. Positions of power attract people that are looking to further their own agendas and benefit themselves. And so you end up with people who are corrupt in these positions. And it's pretty obvious, like you brought it up. It's very obvious that corruption does run rampant in politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me pass it off to you for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like, there's also like politics of school systems, right? Politics can also, like, I think, bleed into, you know, that word, those systems can, you know, like, as I think of our education, and I think of like the politics of maybe like a nonprofit. I mean, it's an old story of where you have these systems that are set up to educate and help the world, and yet that same corruption bleeds into these systems. And I think you're right about, you know, I like that, you know, turning the table aspect of, you know, potentially people who are corrupt are the ones that are attracted to this, and then, you know, use that power of what they're already resonating in their own bodies. Because, you know, for a long time, people in my communities, and I think people who really do want the good for everybody, nobody wants those positions.
Yeah, they seem
We don't want-
too stressful.
It's like,
the initiation ceremony seems too extreme.
Yeah, do you want to hang out with assholes?
Some massive
and
publicity contest.
then the money you have to spend, the games you have to play, and most people who do not want that kind of notoriety, or that, you know, at least I know, are like, yeah, no, I don't even want to go anywhere near that. And it, in a way, it kind of takes very egocentric people, like people who kind of thrive on that. You know, I don't know. That's just my opinion. You know, I don't know everything about this.
Well, your opinion happens to be fact. So lucky for you, you're right.
Oh, that's good to know, because I was been thinking I haven't been factual. But yeah, but I guess the, you know, the thing is again, like, you know, like, like politics, like how I was just having this conversation with a friend yesterday, and we were talking about how I think that, you know, I have been waiting for most of my life for the government, for the political arena to get their act together and start really helping our country heal, to get our school system set up. My daughter's in Cascade Locks. They're losing their school there. They keep cutting and cutting and cutting, and you can tell that they're just like, they've already made their decision to potentially close this down, right? So we can't afford that, but we can afford, you know, like all this war and all this, you know. So, you know, I'm looking at the way that the system is built up, and we're not really getting our needs met as a country, and what I want to grow in the politics. So it's hard to even pay attention to politics. It's hard to want to be involved in it. But what our conversation was about, and I'm sorry, I lost my thread, but I'll come back, is that I feel like change is going to happen at grassroots, right? Isn't that how the Constitution came into to be? It's everything that changes is grassroots. The people take the power back, and like, we're done waiting for the government to heal this. We got to figure out a way to do it ourselves. And we talked about that, you know, and I'm like, I don't want to pay taxes anymore, because they're not spending the money the way I want to spend it. I don't want my money to go to these organizations and wars and all this shit. I want my money to go to education. I want my money to go towards addressing the homeless issue, the homelessness in our country.
Yeah, infrastructure, scientific advancement, community projects.
Yes, but I don't get a say in that. So it's hard to stay tuned into politics.
But they tell you get a say in it.
Oh, yeah.
Which brings me
bullshit.
to why I think politics is such a powerful mechanism of control these days. Basically, we've all grown up reading the textbooks about how we live in a democratic nation, which isn't true, and about how the voice of the people is what makes the decision, which isn't true. So we're all kind of like fed this glorified idea that the government operates on the will of the people, which, they've done studies, and on, sometimes government does happen to vote in the same direction that the public is aligned.
Yeah.
But when it comes to matters that are financial or, financial in aspects of foreign policy and going to war, you find that very, I think the studies actually showed that the decisions made, the legislation made goes in favor of the people that stand to gain the money as opposed to the public decision. The public opinion. You see it time and time again, Vietnam, Iraq, all these war conflicts. So what do you do with that, right? So we have this idea that we are the voice, and that is the seed of the lie, which is so important and empowering to the idea of politics and the people that control it. Politics and politicians, like I said, ideally would be the most intelligent people making the grandest, most important decisions for the betterment of the entire nation and ultimately the entire globe. But what you have instead is you have people being elevated into positions of power through our vote, which is a choice.
Yes.
We do choose these people because we give a little check mark and sign a piece of paper that says that we're making a choice.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, when you're giving two choices that both serve the same banking institutions and both serve the same, high tier billionaire class, which are the donors to their campaigns.
Yes.
You're not really making a choice. Sure, you have, you can choose the grape flavored cyanide or the strawberry flavored cyanide, but at the end of the day, it's a superficial choice. You're just picking which face is going to be the representative of the powers that already be.
Yeah.
So we're in this conundrum where we are told that we have power, so we play the game, but by playing the game, we sign off and acknowledge and effectively elevate these people into power using our own voice and using our own attention. So it's a cycle that seems very well thought out and constructed and has kept us on a hamster wheel for my entire life and probably your entire life.
Yes, my
kind
dad's.
of perpetuating the same circle.
My dad's life too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's there's a lot to say about this topic.
Yeah.
That is kind of where we're at right now, I feel like, with democracy. What are your thoughts on democracy and how your voice and your vote is used or matters?
I don't even know how to answer that question right now. Fuck.
Well, you don't have to.
Excuse me.
You can say pass.
Pass. I mean, really, I don't know how to answer that because, it feels like a no-win situation. If I do vote and I do all this, I don't get what I want. But if I don't vote and I do nothing, I don't get what I want. Right? So in my world of democracy, it doesn't really matter what, I may get a lot of hate mail for that. But it does feel there's a little bit of a powerlessness. And you said this, I think, last time. It's like, somebody told you to vote for the lesser of two evils. And so, that's kind of, what, the democracy is like, I don't feel like there's a lot of good, positive choices anywhere out there. And, so I don't even know what to do with that. So like what I keep bringing it back to, and I'm sorry, this may sound like a broken record, but the only way that I can feel powerful in this time is to keep looking for the things that do feel like they're positive changes that are moving forward and keep, my eye on that. How can I be a force of good and help in my own family? Like, where can I support you and Athena so that you are healthier and are good, upstanding, can contribute to society, to be a good model for my grandchildren, to show up with my friends and help them in any way I can, and then taking it out to the community. You know, like I do donate money to different things that I believe in and causes. And then in other ways, choose not to spend my money or watch things, you know, just because I can. It's like, there's a lot of things I'm not watching anymore because I'm like, I don't want to give my algorithm to them. I don't want to give my money to them. I am not supporting this in any way, shape, or form. And it's hard because some of the things are like sensationalized, and a part of me is like the curiosity cat. Yeah. Oh, I just really want to see it. But it's like, true. But I'm like, no, I don't want them to get that energy from me. So it's hard making those you know, like I've been making a lot more conscious choices about where my money goes, where my algorithms go, where my energy goes, where my thoughts go. And that's how I am practicing democracy. I'm practicing it in my own life to become more sovereign.
I love the point of not giving your attention to the circus. I think that ultimately the way politics holds power is that it captivates and holds your attention. And so we all tune into the show, we all tune into the theater, we all watch the parades of the people in these positions of power be paraded out and say their pieces, and we're all yep, look how formal they are in their little suit with their little tuxedo, and of course these guys have whole rooms of CIA agents telling them all the best information, so we have to trust it, right? It all sounds very complex and prestigious and complicated. And so at the end of the day, I look at these people in positions of power as nothing more than just kind of actors, puppets.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them aren't really making decisions to begin with. No. And I think if you look at the way the voting goes and follows the wants of money, I think it's pretty clear that a lot of these legislation and laws that are put forward are bought and paid for. But these people politics is a theater, and it captivates your attention. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why Donald Trump was so fantastic at running the political gambit. Sure, he had popular support on a lot of levels, but he was a TV personality. This guy made a living off of riling people up and, tapping into people's emotions and getting you to feel things on The Apprentice and WWE and all these different circuits that he ran on. So he became effectively like a lightning rod that had all the Republicans glued to like, this guy might be the savior, and all the Democrats glued to like, this guy is the devil incarnate. He drew so much engagement. He got so many people emotionally invested and tied to politics that create, to the point that I watched families and friendships, dissolve into nothing because people on different sides of the political fence were so adamant about some like kind of fat, greedy guy that, was a TV star, and now he's the face of, modern politics. So politics, like I said, like you said, it really controls us by putting us under the illusion, by putting us under the spell that it's this powerful force, and it only does that through theater, through the news that we see, through the stories that we get printed. It's fascinating. It's fascinating to watch, and it's hard to turn away from it because it's very fascinating on purpose. Yeah. Right. You have all these crazy stories coming out all the time about all these controversial topics. It's like, wow. It's like, stay tuned to the next episode of American politics, and you just kind of
like a soap opera. It
is. It very much is.
Who's gonna kill who, and who's
who's on the Clinton kill list, and what child was taken to the Epstein Island? Find out next time. God.
Actually, we're laughing, but it's just disgusting.
Yeah, it's
very upsetting.
But I mean, you either get to laugh or you get to cry. I ain't gonna cry.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it is interesting, and I have to take things with doses. And like I've said before, is like I look, like I got to take my media in, because I don't want to be ignorant. So I do, I watch things, but a lot of the, other programs around the news, I don't know. Anyway, it's just, there's a lot to see and digest and, And so I kind of bring it back to what's the politics of my own home,
Yeah.
The politics of my own values and morals in my life. And, and I will vote because I am grateful. I feel like it's an honor. I know that you don't. And I am going to still step up and be a part, even though I think it's all a big hoo-ha. I'm still going to do that. But But there is a part of me lately who has been, and I think that Athena was the first, my daughter was the one who's like, because with this whole Cascade Lock school, you know, she's like, I just don't want to pay taxes anymore. And I'd rather like save my taxes and put it towards saving their school, you know, like all that money. And I was like, yeah, what would happen if, you know, all of us Americans just finally said, enough, we're not giving you any more money to fund all this shit. It's like, we're done. You know, we're just done, because they can't put all of us in jail. Maybe they try.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know.
They wouldn't, they can't, it would be impossible. You get enough people, you tip the scales.
Like,
and I'm going to tell you right now.
It's a revolution, man. Like, let's stop feeding money to this bullshit.
At some point, I say
anyway.
we get a group of people together and we set a date and we see if we can get enough support, and we see on this date, we're all stopping.
Yeah.
We're all unplugging.
Yeah.
I you know, it's not just a question of like, you know, even saving money. It's a question of morality.
Oh.
It's a question of how do I do the best for my own community and my own world?
Yes.
And so, yeah, politics, like we look at politics and they present this theater that we watch, this play, and we look at them as if they are the authority. They are the power. But if you step back and you look at your own life and realize you're a powerful, sovereign human being with the same two hands and the same brain that can make the same bad or good decisions as anybody else, you are the power.
Yes.
You are the politics. The people are the power, always have been.
Yes.
So exercise that. Don't vote with your dollar. Vote with your attention. Put your attention and your effort and your money towards something that's important to you and your world. And I support that.
Yeah. And let me be clear. I'm not saying like I'm not going to pay taxes and keep the money for myself. Oh, no. I'm going to invest it back into America. I would invest it back into our school systems. I would invest it into the things that would help us thrive and become, you know, great again. Because I don't feel like we're very great right now at all.
I'm going to keep some of the money for myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna invest it back into America.
All of that, honestly, I will probably too. But I mean, there's so much of our taxes that are taken and used towards in alignment things. You know, so much goes to the military, so much goes to Medicare and Medicaid. That's where most of it goes. And it's like, that sounds good on paper. We're paying, you know, for people to be able to have medical services, until you realize that all the services we're paying for are marked up like 2,000%. Because there is Medicare and Medicaid, they're able to jack the prices way up and, you know, take a huge profit. So we're effectively being scammed on every front.
Yep.
And at some point, I'm going to say no, thank you. And you might see me in a orange jumpsuit, but I'll try my damnedest to not be that person. I'm going to tell you what.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. It's not, you know, like I've told this story before. My dad was, you know, a freedom fighter, and he came to me when I had just become a single parent, and I had, you know, Dane and Athena, little kids, and, you know, and I was following my dad's, you know, career in this, whatever. And he was like, I really want you to stop paying taxes and join me in this fight. And I was like, I can't, Dad. I don't have I'm too scared of being put in jail. I didn't have the courage. And B, it's like, I felt responsible for you and your sister. And I was like, I can't, you know, I really understand. You know, I understand the law, because he showed it to us a lot, you know, about how the different amendments were added illegally and, you know, all this stuff. And I'm like, I get it, Dad. And I hear you. I can't do it. I just can't do it. And he's like, yeah, I get it. But it's funny, because if my dad was alive today, I'd probably be like, yeah, like, let's start thinking about how we can make this grassroots, you know, and I hope that we might not have another podcast next week. Yeah, in our next 2 weeks, if we don't have a podcast, well, you might find us in jail.
Hey, one of the good things about this country is we are allowed to express freedom of speech, freedom of opinion. These are all opinions that I express.
Exactly.
It may or may not become reality. Only time will tell.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Dan, you're like, oh, it's so simple. I love it whenever he brings something up, and I'm just like, oh my God, here we go.
Exactly. Are you ready for the most difficult life possible? Tune in next time.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, politics is a hell of a ride.
Hell of a ride.
Be your own power, you know? And there's a place for voting. The idea of voting, I think, is positive overall. I think when it's implemented correctly, I think you see in smaller elections and more local elections, I think you actually do have a voice and you actually can make some difference in the world. The bigger that pool grows, the more financial institutions are leaning on it to be swayed one way or the other. So I think the bigger the election, the less effect you actually have. And numerically, that makes sense also.
Yeah.
But be the power. Use your voice.
Yeah.
Be careful where you put your attention.
Yes.
Don't take the show so seriously. Yeah, it's entertaining. But at the end of the day, turn the soap opera off and go back to doing what's important.
And, absolutely. I want to add to that and go and create a beautiful life, because it's like we can sit and complain all day long about stuff, or you can take your power and plant a garden, go help some neighbor.
A garden of weed.
Well, in Oregon, yeah, for sure. If you want that.
Yeah.
But create, be the creator of your life. Go create something beautiful and share it with the world. Because you know what? That is more powerful than any politics, I think.
It's the most powerful.
Yeah, it's the most powerful. So yeah, I'm with you on that. And think about what politics is to you. What changes can you make? I love that. So
exactly. Who do you know who thinks differently, and now you can hate them because they don't like my person?
Oh yeah. Well, that is not happening for us.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Let everybody be their own storyteller of their life.
Very good.
Yeah, very good.
Well,
I think that's good for me.
I said my piece.
I'm very willing to move on from this topic.
I probably said too much. We probably both said too much.
I know.
Just cut our losses here.
Yeah.
Take a little break.
Yep. We'll take our break. See you in a second. Bye.
Hello, my name is Dane Frost, CEO at Belt Shelf. Just wanted to check in, let you guys know how things are going. I spent the last couple days revamping, redesigning, and publishing our website. So everything's new, everything's looking cooler, hopefully. Updating the storefront, our product line a little bit, but we are looking to relaunch and get the belt shelves out the door, get them into people's hands because they want some more, hopefully. Check us out, www.beltshelf.org, and let us know what you think. Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
I'll remind you at the end.
God. I just got information of what I'm supposed to do later, and I'm not prepared.
I gave her the down low.
Yeah. Anyway. Hi, guys. Welcome back.
I hope you had a very resty intermission. That's not even a word. Restful.
Yes. I warmed up my tea because it's actually cold in here today.
It is.
I wish I brought my sweater, but I didn't. Anywho, moving on from politics. I'm so relieved.
Thank God. We can close that chapter behind us and never come back.
Don't want to think about that shit anymore. Anyway, so, well, it's interesting because what's been coming up for me in the last few days is I've been thinking about the part of human beings, like our gut instinct, premonition, intuition, like all of those words about like, what is it? Like, I have a lot of questions around, and I kind of wanted just to unpack this with you. But first of all, it's like, we all have them, right? We all have those like little voices that alert us to this or that gut instinct, or, but what is it? Like, why do we have it as human beings? Like, how can we pay attention to it? Why does it exist in us as humans?
Call on me.
And, and like anything else around that, I just want to like really like dive into that whole part of human beings.
I love intuition. I love the idea of intuition. And we all have it. And it's like survival instincts programmed into us or like learned through certain things.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories or experiments about intuition actually shows that intuition is like bigger than just the individual brain. Like, it's either inherited or it's passed on in like an energy field or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it's shown that if you take like, I think it's ducklings or geeslings, and you hatch them and you have the silhouette of a hawk or a bird of prey fly over them, even if they've never seen that bird before, they naturally hide and they know it's a threat. Without, like, their mama bird never tells them, like, oh, watch out for this shape of bird in the sky. If you see those wings with those feather patterns, hide. But somehow, even as a baby, we have these instincts. We have these abilities. And you see it in like other animals that if they have a baby and baby falls into water, it can naturally swim. It doesn't need to be taught. It just knows. There's these muscle memory patterns that just kick in. And I find that extremely fascinating. So
yeah,
I just wanted to take the theory of the fact that like intuition is just experience learned and learning from your own mistakes and, you know, threats that you introduce. We have a whole repertoire or a whole dictionary of intuition and responses already built into us from, you know, from birth, basically, I suppose.
Yeah. So the question is, yes, everyone has it. Everyone has this ability, you know, to know what danger is, or to listen to that little voice that says, oh, call this person, or take that road, or, you know, that, you know, it shows up in not just danger. I also feel like it can download inspiration and luck, or, you know, some people call it God, you know, like people have all different kinds of names for it, but I think it's interesting. So I'm wondering, like, whatever created us, if you believe in that, like, it's interesting that why would something like this be put into us as human beings? Like, why would this be a part of, I mean, just curious about as a design, you know?
Well, from an evolutionary standpoint and from a survival standpoint, it makes perfect sense. It's a way to help us survive and help us, you know, stay alive so we can procreate and carry on our genetics. So from like a biological sense, it makes complete sense. But inspiration is kind of a different beast. Yeah. And it you know, it does. It'll be like, you know, oh, go out tonight. You should probably, or like, don't skip class today. You should go to class. And like, you go and you do this thing and you meet this one person and it opens up a whole new door just because you took one step that was seemingly inconsequential at the time. Yes. But, yeah, is it destiny that we're following? Is it a divine plan that we're following? Is it just and the thing is too, like, a bunch of it is gleaned from experience. So even though we have some intuition built into us, a lot of it is muscle memory that we train ourselves, that we learn, right? So if you train martial arts, for example, you're sitting somewhere at a bar and some guy gets uppity, which, you know, happens from time to time, and you see the posture change and you know the punch is coming and you just naturally, you're out of the way, right? Hopefully. In my case, I've always been out of the way, luckily. Yeah. Except one time in Italy. I'm not going to talk about that. I did not get out of the way. But yeah, I mean, so you have these patterns that we learn also, which help to guide us. And I think that's more like the logic brain working, as where this like kind of divine voice you're talking about is like a separate piece, which acts as a guide. Why do we have it? Why do we need to be inspired? Why like, and also it's tricky because, you know, for myself personally, there's a lot of voices going on up here. Yeah. I call my internal workings the Council of Dane. And there's multiple voices. Some of them say, eat the cake. And some of them say, no, don't buy the cake, because if you buy the cake, you'll eat the cake. And some of them say, you know, oh, you should go buy a pack of cigarettes. That sounds fucking fantastic. And the other ones are like, nah, you shouldn't do that. So you have all this tug of war happening within yourself. Anyways, go out and hang out with a park. Maybe meet somebody. Oh, no, that's a waste of gas and a waste of energy. Why would I go out, right? So you have these conflicting points of yourself. So which voice is the inspiration, and how do you learn to listen to that?
Well, yeah, and like, are all of those voices that intuitive gut, you know, like, I'm not sure. Are some of those parts of the personality, and maybe there's that just one voice that's maybe that more like cautionary, divine, you know, do this, you know, because it does feel like those are different voices. Like, those feel like more like the ego and different parts that are like, you know, like my naysayers and you see
it very clearly in addiction, right? So if you're addicted to something, right? I've never done a lot of these crazy or harder things that are harder to get off of. I've never really had to struggle with addiction much myself, but you know, I've heard people talk about. There's one guy I was talking to who was talking about doing heroin for the first time, and he told me that after doing it one time, for years after that, he had this voice in his brain that would pop up every now and then to say, hey, you should get some heroin. Like, that's not inspiration. Wow. That is something else. That's another reward pathway. That's some other sort of voice that's tapping in. in trying to sabotage, right?
Yeah.
Trying to tear you down. So,
Yeah.
you know.
So is there is a difference then between some of these voices then and the inspiration and the, you know.
Well, at least in the context that some are trying to take you down a darker road and some are trying to take you towards a lighter road.
Yeah.
I mean, it's illustrated as the demon and the angel on your shoulder, right? So you have these two conflicting parts that are trying to keep you on the rails or try to take you off into the jungle.
And I think that's different than what we're talking about as far as that gut instinct and that other voice that's like, you know, because how it shows up for me is that I remember when I was first starting in feng shui, and I would have this, you know, intuitive hit about something, about what to do as a cure for the house, or, you know, like tell the person this thing, or share, you know, and the first of these things would come up, I'd have these impulses and I'd be like, hell no, I'm not sharing that. You know, I would get there, you know, this is absolutely true, and you can believe it or not. But I do have the ability to, I would go for a job and the animals loved me. Dogs and cats would come up and I could hear them talking, and they would be like telling me how they were upset about something that their owners were doing, like fighting or some issue that happened. And I would be like, and I would have this impulse that would say, you need to share this. And I'd be like, I'm not sharing that. Like, no way. I'm not going to tell them that their dog just told me they're fighting all the time and they're really upset.
Dr. Doolittle over here.
But I finally started, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to trust this. And I would. And something magical happened. Every time I listened to that gut instinct, every time I listened to that little small voice, something beautiful happened. And there was always like a big healing and a big transformation. And so I feel like part of this topic I want to bring up is that I believe that there are these threads that are more divinely aligned, inspiring, whatever, that are meant to help us evolve. And the more that I listened to it and trusted it, the louder it got, the more frequent it got, the more powerful it got. And I think that's the first step, is to be aware. Like, you got to start being aware to what's bubbling up. You know, what's those little things? Because if you don't ever kind of like stop and try to listen to yourself and what's happening, you'll miss them. And then I think you miss these golden opportunities.
What are the words that are passing in your own mind that are happening, and how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Because for myself, I can feel a difference between those voices. Like, there's just something innately different between the dark voices and the light voices. Like, I just know the difference.
Yes.
And Paulo Coelho wrote The Alchemist, one of my favorite short stories of all time. And there's towards the end of the book, he's talking about how the main character is scared because he hears the voice calling him to carry on, and he keeps ignoring the voice. And he knows that if he ignores it too long, and the fear is if he ignores it for too long, that voice will be silent. It'll stop talking. It will stop guiding. And I think that's true in all of our lives. You have to practice listening. You have to practice following. And as you do, like strengthening anything that you practice, you get better at recognizing it, and you get better at following through, and you develop more of a trust to your own gut feeling, to your own intuition. And the intuition is given to us for a reason. It's a very powerful tool. So let's practice it, right?
Yeah. And sometimes you may not even know why you're being led to do something. You know, sometimes that will show up like years later, maybe never. Because I had that recently where I had my work day planned and I was going to work on my new business stuff and all this. And I woke up and I could just feel this very strong impulse that said, you need to write a summary. I had just done the Gene Key retreat, you know, and they had this place where you could go and like write a summary of what that experience was. And I spent like 2.5 hours, like really going in detail and writing. There were a lot of like big dot connections for me in that experience. And, you know, and I was like, I spent like a half a day doing this, and I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I didn't, you know, I still don't know why, but I I know that it was really important for me. I don't know, maybe somebody's going to read it and it's going to, or maybe it's going to open up a door. But that's the other part, is to just, but my trust is a lot deeper now. And I just do things now. I just do them. Like, there was a part of me after that was like, oh my God, I wasted half a day. I could have. And I stopped that voice. I'm like, no, I know that when I get that loud of a message, like sometimes it'll come and say, oh, write these people a letter. And I'll wait 2 or 3 times. But when it comes back around the third time, then I know it's something that is meant to be. So that's another tool maybe you might use for yourself. It's like, if it comes around once and you're like, not sure. But if it comes around a certain number of times, it's like, the book of The Alchemist, it's like, pay attention, because it's not a coincidence that something keeps inspiring you.
Follow the signs.
Follow the signs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I like the point of, you have to learn to believe in yourself. And really, you have this idea of faith, right? Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I've found that I have to have faith that my decisions, when I'm choosing to mm-hmm. follow these patterns and these ideas that, like I said, like kind of, they just feel right. They kind of resonate mm-hmm. with mm-hmm. me, just knowing like, oh, this is the direction I should be going. It's hard to explain, because it's really just a universal knowing. Just like, okay, yes, like I hear that part of myself, I recognize that part of myself, and I go with it. And it's steered me right enough times that I now have faith, right? I know that even in the short term, sometimes it seems like it's a setback, or it's a waste of time, mm-hmm. or it leads to a dead end. Mm-hmm. It always comes around, and that whatever skill or experience I learned through that, it shows back up in some intangible way in the future that actually comes together and helps mm-hmm. me overcome an obstacle in the future. Yeah.
And it's open doors. And it's also been used, like to avoid accidents. I've heard like, no, we're not going to do this right now. And I'm like, and I used to poo-poo that, right? I've talked about this before. And then I had, like really scary, dangerous things happen. And then I finally started waking up, and this is the part of that you can learn from, right? Because I do feel like it's here. It kind of feels like, if you can call it God, I call it universe, source, whatever, is always, I believe, is always conspiring to help us. That is the fabric of my belief, of my whole reason for being here as a human being. I think that everything is conspiring to help me. And I think that's what these impulses are, And so whether you listen or you don't listen, you're going to learn either way, But I would suggest, if you're not good at knowing what they are, the first place to start is just by taking pauses and start to learn to listen to, well, how do I feel in this moment? Instead of just doing things random and chaotically and, and whatever, it's like you begin to just kind of like, oh, what's this feel like? Like, again, it comes that observation and learning and inquiry. You got to start knowing who you are, because they're happening even if you're unconscious to it. This impulse is happening all the time, I believe.
I believe, therefore, either I'm wrong or I'm right.
But so I'm really been paying attention. Like the last few days, I've been feeling more and more of that, just direction. And I will say, the more you do it, the more your life just feels kind of magic, because it's just like these golden threads that just kind of lead you around.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say too, so you can believe in your intuition, or you cannot believe in your intuition. Mm-hmm. But, I think giving that choice, I think you have to believe in your intuition. You have to trust in yourself. If you don't trust in yourself, how are you going to ever make a decision? How are you ever going to make progress forward? Like, you have to believe that you're capable. Mm-hmm. You have to know that you know what's right and wrong. And when you know that, then you can proceed with clarity and with confidence, right? Get some courage, get some confidence, and just learn to, follow your own inspiration, follow your own dreams, and build off that step by step.
Yeah. And it'll show up in every arena. It'll show up in relationships. It'll show up in job. It'll show up in health. It'll show up in food. I mean, it just shows up everywhere. When you start listening to the intuition, it's not like just one place of your life. It'll start showing up everywhere, you know? And yeah. And yeah.
Sometimes it is a voice in the head, like something that you kind of hear and can listen to. Sometimes it's kind of a vision, or you can glean it through like dreams or a daydream even. And sometimes it shows up as like actual body, like gut feeling. Like you can feel like shifts in the body. You can feel, relief, or you can feel stress. Like those are indicators. A lot of intuition also, I think, does stem from directly just listening to and feeling how your body feels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Particularly like, eating and diet. Like if I eat something I know I shouldn't, my body tells me, like, nah, that was a bad idea, Dane.
Yeah.
Back that one off.
That one really tasted good, though.
It does. Soda.
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah. I like that. I really like that. So anyway, so I'm taking that into my next week because, like I'll just tell this quick little story and then I'm pretty complete on this, but I was, so as I've talked about many times, I'm switching my business and I was just like, go and trying to get these, podcasts, recorded and ready to be put out. And it was like stress. And then it's like this voice just kept saying like, slow down, kept saying no, kept saying back off, and I was like, no, I got to get it done. I said I was going to do it. And then suddenly it was just like this light kind of went off and I was like, oh, I'm not enjoying myself. Like this isn't healthy. Like I'm not feeling nourished. It's like, it was like this whole download of this gut instinct and it just kind of landed and just kind of all slowed down. And then I was just like, you know what? We're going to just take our time. And I completely changed the trajectory, and I just took all this stuff off my list. And it's interesting because since I did that, it feels like things are happening more organically, and even the things that I produced, I'm going to reproduce because they were hollow, in a way, because it was just so much pressure and stress and like, and now I feel like I'm organically in my body and I'm kind of listening and I'm doing it from a place of like love rather than like, oh, but I said I was going to do this, and it's interesting. So just recently I listened to that and it's just completely changed. I feel like my business has kind of changed again. So, that's just a little example of how, I just recently really listened and what a huge impact. I feel more nourished and calm and happy. So,
Yeah, one of my main stories of inspiration, I was going to university, got a degree in microbiology, and as soon as I was wrapping up, I just knew I wanted to travel. I knew I wanted to see the world a little bit. I also knew I had a lot of student debt and had basically zero money. So I was like, all right, well, how do I see the world? I really want to go to South America. How do I make that happen with no money? So the idea came to me. I was like, I could do it on a bicycle. I know how to bike. I bike to school every day. It's, it's a lot of biking. I'm pretty good at that. I could hop on and I can get down to Argentina, no problem. And so the idea was there and the voice was there and I knew it was the right decision somehow for some way. So I decided to go ahead with it. So I spent a couple months preparing, built a bicycle, got all my supplies, got a bunch of camera gear to kind of document it and figured out all my camping situations and eating situations. And I think I had about $2,000 in my account. I was like, all right, that's fine. Let's go. So come September, I just walked out the front door, hopped on a bike and started riding south.
True.
Very, very quickly, I realized that bicycling every day, all day is very difficult. It's not like commuting to school at all, especially after you've been sitting behind desks doing book learning for so long. Like you're a little out of shape, So like the saddle hurts, your butt hurts, everything hurts. You don't really know how to manage your calories, so you're constantly just fatigued and exhausted. And, you're going like, first day 30 miles, second day 50 miles, going around 50 miles. And you slowly just build up to it. And I will say, so the intuition called me, and there was a lot of days where I wanted to give up. I was like, this is terrible. This hurts. This is painful. Things aren't going well. But, I just kept trucking on. And the further I got into this trip, the more magical the world just started to become, and things started to open up. And I was just trusting my intuition and just going wherever I could find an open door and a warm shower and a bed, just place to place, point to point. And I ended up making, and the thing is too, it's like, I had that other voice going on, especially as I was going through Southern California, San Diego, and I could see Mexico start to rise up, and all these voices in my head are like, why? You're going to go to Mexico, dude. You don't know about Mexico. You hear all these stories about the cartels, like burning people alive with gasoline and, robbing tourists. And so it took courage and it took real faith to make that final jump, but I did. And, I'm not going to go into all the details, but that experience ended up opening so many doors, was such a magical time. I met so many good people. I gained so much faith in humanity just because you would just meet every day, just random people on the street that would take me in and give me food and, share stories and point me in a direction to be like, hey, go check this out. Oh, hey, I got a friend over here. Go say hi to him. And the whole thing just became this just one long living dream that, there's no way I could have scripted or planned a better experience. But that was me listening to a voice, which in most, I could have very easily dismissed, and I thought about dismissing it as just, a crazy fluke of an idea. Like, that's insane. You don't want to do that. That's what a crazy person would do.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I am that crazy person. And it turned out A-okay. So obviously practice caution, obviously be safe. Don't do anything, too stupid unless you're me. But, sometimes you take the risk and it turns out a lot better than you could have ever imagined.
Absolutely. And, we got to follow your trip through the documentation that you did through video and whatnot. And it was just, it restored my faith in humanity as well, living vicariously through you. And, talk about, because every day you had to follow that small voice to take you to this and that. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing you did. Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. And I have a lot. Yes. As most things, but I have a lot of stories too, but I think I'm going to leave it there because I feel pretty complete.
Wrap it up. Put a bow on it.
Put a bow on it. I think, I'm always grateful for these conversations because I'm going to actually, I feel pretty tapped into my intuition, but I always feel like there's another layer. So I'm going to take this and try to listen a little bit more, a little bit deeper, and what's going to unfold in these next 2 weeks. I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Well, I care about y'all.
Yeah.
I care about you.
Care about you.
It's been a nice little conversation. Way to spend a dreary, gray, cold afternoon over here.
Yep. And wherever you are, we just send all of our love and just be well. And we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Become an expert in you.
Yep. Well. Bye. Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Well, that was a good one.
That was a good one. And I'm going to get my coat on now.
So hold on real quick.
Oh, you wanted to do our thing.
Real quick. So just think about inspiration. Think about embodying it. And then we're going to spend just 10 seconds, 20 seconds, just kind of acting it out.
Act it out?
Just so politics, authority,
Okay. Okay. So mine is intuition. All right. So let me think about this. Okay. At the same time?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, so here we go.
We're just... All right, that's good.
That is so weird.
Yeah. You'll see why I did that.
Okay, I know. Beautiful. That was good, Dane.
That was good.
That's a really good one.